Welcome everyone! It's been a long time, but here I am, Unstoppable Stelezzi, with yet another Age of Empires 3 Definitive Edition casting game. I had a bit of a respiratory issue which made it hard to talk, but as you know, now my voice is finally back, so we can show you this wonderful supremacy 1 versus 1 between the Russians and the Japanese. Before we get started, let's check out the map real quick to see, how are people going to play on this thing. So, as you know, with this map, you got this big body of water here with even a little bit of fish that you can gather from. You got the trade route on this side you got the natives. And I remember this game a lot from ranked, and from what I recall, I always seem to go this way instead of this way. But it's always open to you if you want to take it. But let's get started and see how this match goes exactly. Alright, so Russians. What can I say about Russians? Well, they're the civilization of me, Unstoppable Stelezzi. The civ of rushing with lots of rushing infantry. Yeah, infantry in big blocks of 5 or 10 or 4, depending on what it is exactly. Yeah, but the thing is, though the Russian infantry do technically come out a bit quicker and they are cheaper in those blocks, they are a bit weaker, as you know, so you gotta be aware of that. They also get some nifty cavalry options like the Cossack, which is 1 pop. They also train their villagers, as you see here, in blocks of 3 as well, for a cheaper cost of about 270 food instead of 300, so you save a bit in the long haul. It's a little bit more pricey to get up front, but as the game goes on, you're going to notice that you're going to have a couple more of your resources back, which is great. The Russians have constructed a market over here, probably going to be thinking about getting some hunting dogs with these miners, which you see on the silver mine. Once you hit about 50 coin, you can pick up that hunting dogs technology and get your hunting rate up super duper quick. On the other side, let's check out who else we got. We got ourselves the Japanese. Japanese, a very map control based civ. What they love to do is run around the map and grab as many of these hunts as possible. Now, the Japanese in this game, they don't hunt animals, they don't even eat herdables. What they do is they build these little houses called shrines. The animals move to the shrine and they improve the trickle of the building. With a shrine, you can trickle food, wood, or coin. In fact, we see this card Heavenly Kami coming in, which actually makes the shrines cheaper to build and makes their trickles that they gather even better, essentially. And what you usually see with Japan is, as the match goes on and you need different resources, you can toggle at the building itself whether you want food, wood, or coin gathered. And based on that, you can train really whatever units you need, Japan has a pretty strong roster. They get some pretty strong musketeers in the form of the Ashiguru. They get some really long-range archers, the Yumi. They, of course, get a very strong swordsman, the Samurai, with their katanas doing splash damage. Also, some decent cavalry options in the Yabazume and the Naginai rider. We see the explorers moving their way out onto the map here, trying to find some hunts. Luckily, with these shrines here, these giraffes can be captured, providing what seems to be now some food. Notice this trick will get ever more bigger as more of these giraffes move their way over to the shrine. Shrines can hold up to 4 animals. If you can get all 4 of them, great. If not, at least you get maybe 2, 3 of a max. That's perfectly fine. And in general, you want to put shrines out all over the map. So up here, up here, up here, up here, anywhere you can. And also keep in mind, by taking a hunt with a shrine, that means that the villagers of that enemy civ can't actually hunt those animals until they burn that shrine down that's holding them there. So that's another way of actually sticking it to your opponent too, in terms of their food economy. It looks like this Japan is ready to age up very soon, and you might be asking, why is that exactly? Well, the Portuguese consulate here does have a special that makes all buildings cheaper. And since Wonders, the age-up method of Asian civs, are also buildings, means that aging up also becomes cheaper as an extension. It looks like Japan will be going up with the Toshigu Shrine. This is a very economic wonder. What it actually does is, it actually boosts the trickles of these shrines here, so they actually put out even more resources than they normally would. And the Toshigu Shrine itself is just a big giant shrine that can hold up to, I think, about 8 animals. So it'll be able to pull in both these giraffes and these elephants, leading to a lot of resource gathering. In general, Japan is very economical and also very defensive to help support that. So if you can get some early resources in the form of these shrines and boom yourself properly, you're going to be able to get a nice spam of Ashiguru musketeers and Yumis to your liking, later on supported by their flaming arrow artillery. This means that Russia here is going to have to do really good trying to rush their opponent out. See how they went up with the quartermaster as the agent politician, about 400 wood? This allows them to get a blockhouse wherever they need it right now. Where is the blockhouse going to go, though, is the question. I don't see any blockhouse over here, nothing on this side yet. They're going to have to play this really carefully. Now, what's interesting is I see a church going up, so maybe we're going to see... Oh yes, we see the Reform Czar, so maybe some of those royal decree technologies are going to be utilized here. The ones that ends up upgrading all your units all together, perhaps. Those ones are pretty powerful for them. They can also send in some dragoons and some hussars, I believe, unless they update it, of course. I haven't checked the royal decrees of Russia for a while, since they started reworking all the Euro cities in this game. But we'll see. We see, oh, they just canceled out steel traps. Steel traps is one of those market technologies like hunting dogs that you always want because it just makes your hunt and gather rate that much better. And as the Russians, most of your block units, whether it be your unstoppable Strelitzes, your recruits, or your Porochiks, they cost a lot of food up front because they house multiple units in one block. Looks like Tushki can't figure out what shipment he wants yet. I just saw the Cossacks pop in and out there. That's alright, you know, you really need to make sure you got a proper attack plan when you're going up against the Japanese. They have some pretty strong muskets, some strong archers, they get really powerful artillery. You need to make sure you have a proper attack plan or else you'll burn through your resources really quickly. And Japan, of course, gets pretty much unlimited resources in the form of their shrines, assuming they can keep them up. Right? Whenever possible, try to burn down shrines wherever you see them, if you happen to be passing through that area. You know, it just sets back Japan a little bit more. We see Japan starting to put up their first barracks over here. While they go up to the third age, well, that's Russia actually. They're going up with the Adventurer, which is going to grant them some more unstoppable Strelitzes as they start to ship in unstoppable Strelitzes. So they're going to have a very unstoppable force of unstoppable Strelitzes to deal with Japan. And that's a pretty good start because the Strela would be one of the more preferred options to deal with the Ashiguru Musketeer, which the barracks is usually a sign of. As for Japan, what are they going to do? So they're just focusing on economics right now. Again, Yozakura lanterns, this would be the second upgrade for berry bush gathering. Since Japanese don't hunt or use herdables, their market food technologies focuses on berries, as well as cherry orchards, which are basically just giant berry bushes that Japan gets at the start of the match, which allows them to get a lot of food from it. And in a sense, it's a lot better because you can put the cherry orchards very close to the TC, which makes raiding a lot less of an issue for the Civ of Japan, adding more to that defensive identity of theirs. So we do see Ashiguru Musketeers coming over here, and they're going to make their way down towards this trading post most likely and start pressuring the Russians. They will be met with unstoppable Strelitzes though, and they will most likely have to retreat. But we'll see if maybe they can get down a trading post, which would disrupt the Russians a little bit. Right now, they're gonna go for a attack on this TP. Yes, exactly. And anything going on up here? Well, we see a bit of hunt movement towards this direction with the Russian villagers moving on to the ostrich. We don't actually see a lot of shrines in this area, so it's not really developed yet, except for maybe this one that protrudes out a little bit. I think right now Russia's going to realize real quick the only hunts they got are over here. And oh, they got a shrine up here too, so Russia's starting to lose sources of food really quick on the map. At least until they can get some units down and start taking them back. Ah yes, we see a batch of bestieros coming out for the Portuguese. Essentially how export this little tea leaf thing works for Asian civs is you get so much of it, and once you reach about 400 you can send a battalion of units out depending on what nation you are allied with. They're allied with Portuguese, so they basically can send about 7 crossbowmen named Order Bestieros out. And with those crossbowmen, they add a nice complement to the Ashigurus being a good skirmisher. And considering how these unstoppable Strelitzes are totally unstoppable against these Ashigara musketeers, they're going to need some sort of skirmisher unit like those crossbowmen to level it out a bit. One more interesting move we see here is a Daimyo Mototada. Basically what a Daimyo does is it's basically like a mobile barracks and stable. The Daimyo can train cavalry as well as infantry units. And they also boost up the stats of nearby military, as you see with this little like white little ring underneath their feet. So yeah, basically you don't need to construct barracks or stables as long as you have the Daimyo nearby. He can also have shipments delivered directly to him as well. So if you have like a shipment of like 2 or 3 cannons, 2 or 3 flaming arrows, or something like this card here, you could ship it directly to the Daimyo and you wouldn't have to ship it all the way back at the TC, allowing for a lot of forward play, similar to what you would do with the fort. More cherry orchards, it looks like. It looks like, honestly, at this point, Japan really wants to make sure that they're not going to get raided at all by the Russians, so they're going for the defensive option of having more cherry orchards set up around the TC, which I think works out pretty good for them, since berry gathering for Japan is really quick and effective. And since there is there a stable? Nah, so basically for now, this Daimyo is going to be used to train the Nagis, it looks like. Though you may consider putting up a stable later to get that nice disciplined and later upgrades for them to keep up with the Russians. Now, this is always a dilemma on this map. You see the Russians going this way and the Japanese going this way. Yeah, it's such a big lake that you could have 2 attacks going on in different directions of the map at the same time. Now, it does look like, though, that Japan is now aware of what's going on out here, because they do see a shrine being attacked. And these ostriches finally being freed here. This will give Russians an additional source of food that they can eat from. But now we gotta see what's gonna happen over in this spot, because now this spot is totally exposed. And what do we see in response to that? We see cavalry archers. Cavalry archers against these Nagis. And these Strelitzes, as well as the recruits and these falconets from the 2 falconet shipments, should be good against all these infantry units. Oh no, looks like a blockhouse went down. That's not good. Another one will be constructed up here to replace it. You gotta make sure these Nagis are not on the front lines, because the cav archers are just gonna snipe them down. See these cav archers completely secured in the back over here? Yeah, this is not the place you want your Nagis in. You really want them all the way over here dealing with the Strelets. These ones seem to be doing the job, but unfortunately you lost that mass way too quickly and you're probably going to have to retreat. Yeah, I wouldn't keep that fight up. I'd go back here where your Daimyo is, regroup, and start attacking them again. See if you can get those Nagis right on those Strelets over here. If you can't, they're really going to be a waste of resources for you. And you're probably going to want to switch to just plain infantry. Oh, Kazakhs trying to snare them in. Trying to slow them down so the cannons might get a shot into them. That would be pretty effective. And what's Daimyo? Daimyo's going to keep queuing up Nagis, it looks like, since they don't have a stable. Well, I mean, until these Strelets are taken out, once you see a switch over to like recruits and cav archers, maybe swap to something a bit cheaper like Yumis. Now, you're going to want to get that Cossack down. Oh boy, yeah. See, these Falconets are making it really hard for you to attack at this position because they're just eating through your infantry. And now you got these Naggies all by themselves, and now they're getting focused down by all these units here. Total mess. Yeah, get out. Stop this queue right now and get out of there. You're really not going to get much at this point. Because even this massive infantry, when grouped up like this, can one target down your cavalry, so you need to be careful of that, you know. You don't always think amassed infantry is a threat to your hand cavalry, but if there's enough of them, you need to consider this. Oh yeah, yep. Watch out for that too. This is a cavalry unit, so cav archers do deal multiplier damage versus them. That's a big concern for you. Get back to your base here, regroup a bit. Looks like the stable did get produced to maybe upgrade those Naggies. Oh, looks like Japan switched over to Japanese isolationism. Now, Japanese isolationism, instead of making buildings cheaper, they simply give your units more attack. And instead of the normal blocks of consulate units, you get to train individual specialty Japanese units like these Shinobi no Monos. Very powerful archers. Unlike other archers, they don't have multipliers against infantry or light cavalry, but they also don't have a malice either, so they are a preferred archer unit if you know you're going to be dealing with a lot of mounted units, since they're not particularly weak against mounted units when in large numbers. And if we see a big group of Cossacks, then the Shinobi can do a pretty good number on them if you have enough of them. Oh no, the daimyo just went down. That's not good. That's not good. Golden Pavilion coming up, so Japan is finally going on to age 3, it looks like. Catching up with their opponent. By the way, these Shinobi, and really any other unit from the consulate, actually shadow upgrades upon reaching another age, so that's one reason to age up, just so those special units getting some stats automatically upon the age up. Yeah. And because Japan is still in age 2, this means their units are technically upgraded behind that of their opponent. These are veteran cavalry archers, whereas the units you see here, the Ashi, the Nagi, they're still in age 2, missing that 20% stats upgrade. We're going to see an upgrade of the Ashigarus now to Discipline, basically the veteran upgrade. Same with the Nagis, because you need to make sure you're keeping up with the times with your upgrades, else you're going to be outgunned pretty much. But they do have to be careful of this pressure though, because this is a serious threat here. You still got one Falconet active over here, and you got a large contingency of cav archers guarding it like a hawk pretty much. It's going to make it really impossible for you to get any sort of Nagis in here to deal with this cannon, just because by the time they get over there, they're going to be shot to pieces by those arrows. So maybe ship in some flaming arrows. Oh, you could do that too. Get the Yabasume archers. Yeah, those cav archers. Now these Yabasumes, what makes them stand different from say these cav archers is they get a really high multiplier against artillery. Like, they're basically artillery snipers. Their base attack again with their arrows is pretty bleak, but when it comes to anti-artillery, they're great at sniping cannons. And it basically will do a much better job than trying to use Nagis, which just vaults these cav archers pretty easily. So yeah, just wait for those Yabasume to come in, and then you can try to snipe this one Falconet down. You just have to get one. Yep, try to put the Nagis on top of the infantry if possible. Yep. I would thrust these forward actually and try to attack the infantry. Yep, the Yabe's got the Falconet down. Now you can try to engage with these units. Try to keep the Yumis targeted on the cav archers and your infantry in general. Cav archers seem to be the biggest threat right now. Don't really worry about these Strelets too much. You can deal with those easily with some Nagis later. Just get those cav archers down, since they're basically preventing you from dominating against the infantry. Yep, get the Nagis in over here, attack in the back. try to focus fire down this cav archer and snipe the rest down if you can. Are we starting to see a bit of a cleanup? Well, yeah, I mean, most of the Strelets at this point are basically taken care of, I feel like. Well, that Explorer's going to go down, too. Yep. Alright, so yeah, this was a pretty effective fight, I think, for the Japanese. They finally got the enemy off their back. Now they're going to force the Russians to make a bit of a retreat backwards. That won't stop the cav archers, of course, from kiting a bit. Just go back a little bit, shoot. Go back a little bit and shoot again. Now they really should retreat since all the cavalry are dead and there's really not much more effective of targets they can attack anymore. Yeah. Yep, pretty much. How are the shrines situation looking? Have a lot of the other shrines been taken down? Well, it seems like in general, most of the shrines on this side are still pretty much active. Right, so that means Japan's economy is still pretty strong. As you see here, their food is especially high. They actually have enough food for even an industrial age Egypt if they wanted to. And now we're going to start to see the Naginata Rider hit points come in that card. Now basically make the Nagis a bit tankier. And when you know you got an opponent that's putting out a lot of cav archers, you really need to make sure you have some HP on those things. Just so you can make sure that they're going to have some survivability going in. You don't want that being a liability, losing such expensive units here of about 100 food and 100 coin apiece to these quick-firing arrows. As you know with cav archers, they got a really quick rate of fire too, so you don't want to mess with that. What's Russia got planned though? So it looks like they're buckling down on cav archers. Also, we see circular saw coming in, which is going to make it a bit easier to get some houses, maybe some other buildings with that improved wood gather rate. And it looks like Russia's also going to be attempting an offensive on this side, maybe wiping out some shrines in Japan and send them back a bit economically. And also helping themselves out by giving themselves some more hunts that they can actually eat from now, that the shrines were occupying before. But we do see Japan responding to this in like. They're going to go forward with their Nagis and try to hit these unstoppable Strelitzis. When it comes to Nagis, Strelitzi is no longer unstoppable and he really needs to be careful of that. And then we see the infantry falling in close behind. I think they really need to make sure that they're one-targeting down these cav archers as best as possible. I think the more cav archers you can... Oh yeah, get these settlers. Get these settlers. They're right there. Get as many as you can. Well, you got one, but unfortunately they pulled back. Oh, that's unfortunate. Yeah, whenever you get freebies like that with villagers, always take that, you know. If you can put somebody down in their villager count, you'll see the difference in so many minutes of the game. Their army's just starting to fall apart. Especially when the settlers are so far from home out here, trying to get these hunts. And the one thing Russia always does is, whenever they make a forward push with their settlers, they'll always put a blockhouse up, because that's basically a tower you can garrison in, as well as providing more pressure in that area with infantry should you need it. A normal outpost, if you have enough units, can get taken down pretty easily by raiding units. But of course, with the blockhouse, you can pop out some recruits or Strelitzis or even Porchicks as needed to clean up whatever's attacking that building. In an emergency, of course. You probably don't need to do that if it's only like a couple settlers, but if you say got like a situation here when you got a bunch on the mine, you got a bunch on the hunts, and you really don't want to lose that asset of your economy, just plugging them away in the blockhouse and putting some infantry forward might be worth it. Russia's starting to get some spice trade now, which should help their hunting gather rate even further. It's been a while since Russia had a lot of strength in getting their hunts up, so the fact that now they can start expanding into the desert area here and start grabbing those hunts means that spice trade's going to have a really good comeback for their food eco. In general, it seems like Russia is in really good shape right now. They got a very large army of both skirmishers and light cavalry. A very formidable combo. And Japan does not have a lot at their disposal right now to deal with that. The only way I see this working out for Japan is if they did a swap over to Yumi archers and flaming arrows. Yumi archers to take down those cav archers, and then the flaming arrows to blast their way through the Russian infantry. That's really the only way I see this going good for them right now. And could they even afford a transition like that? I don't even think so, because... Wait a minute, what's that? Ninja assassins. Ninja assassins. Why are you getting that? I'm curious, why are you getting ninja assassins for? There's no mercenaries on the map. There's no get flaming arrows, man. Get these. Or at least get the Yumis. Get the Yumis, the flaming arrows. Do not get ninjas. Boy, was that a waste. I mean, seriously. The thing you gotta understand about repentant ninjas is they have multipliers against very specific units. Against mercenaries, heroes, and also native warriors. You don't see that in the thing over here, but ninjas, at least in the Legacy game, have multipliers against native warriors. So, for instance, if Russia decides to start making Sudanese out of this and this site, the ninjas would be good against that, but not against these infantry or cav archers. And as expected, those ninjas were completely sprayed down right there. And how much is the resource cost of that? Doesn't say, but I can imagine it would probably be like 500 coin or 1,000 coin. Definitely not something worth wasting. You're much better using this, do you have a hill castle anywhere, or castle? Yeah, this one. You should be making flame arrows out of this right now to deal with the infantry. Should not be making units like the ninja, which are specifically made to kill mercenaries and natives. Big mistake there. And now my question is, where is the resources even going to come from for Japan? Because their food ecos... Yeah, you know that. You know that for a fact. Unstoppable Steletsy Civ. There you go. Wisdom words right there to everyone. Russia's too OP. Yes, they are. You got the unstoppable Steletsy me there, so you know it's OP. Simple facts. Simple facts of life. Now, Russia, because they're doing so well, they can actually afford to go to the industrial age. They're going to go up with the engineer, which is going to grant them some free falconets, about 2 of them, from their town center or wherever their gather point is for shipments. And that'll basically allow them to go in for a permanent push here, because Japan does not have the resources to defend right now. And any sort of push of this magnitude of Russian units, totally overwhelming. Yeah. One more nasty part about the Russian Civ, in particular for DE, is that you actually can get a population above 200 on the map as Russians, about 210, making them the most population expansive civ in a game, except for China. I think China can get even more than Russia can. Isn't it about, what, 220 population, top population for China? I know in More Celebrity it's about 240, which is even scarier, but I think in Legacy it's like 220. I guess because of the size of the Russian massing concept, in DE they decided to give Russia a total of like 210 population just to make it more formidable. And here we see another interesting card of the Russians, the Tsar Cannon. It basically gives you an Imperial Great Bombard, that big giant cannon you remember from the campaigns that the Ottomans got. And it also makes your Imperial cannon upgrades cheaper. So say Imperial Field Gun, Imperial Howitzer, Imperial Field Culverin Royale, those sorts of technologies, they become cheaper. Not that I think that they're going to get that far in the match, right? But still. Westernization. Yeah, this is basically going to upgrade all these units to guard level for free. Just wait and see. These things are going to change like instantly over to... Nah, it's the next one. Never mind. But yeah. Basically, you get 2 technologies as part of the Russian Royal Decree. You get Western reforms, which basically puts everything to veteran level. That being your Cossacks, your barracks units, all that. And then you get a second one that puts everything to guard level for free. I don't think it's for free, it's actually a cost of wood, but it ends up saving you a lot of coin. And it's pretty powerful if you choose to use that and use a variety of units. Now, if you're going to spam like one unit, like say Strelets and Porochiks, here it is, here we go. Petrine reforms. You're going to see all these units change over to guard level next. All these units are going to be guard level, like instantaneously. Guard Strelet, and you see Devoyayan, these are the Royal Guard Cav Archers. It does not affect artillery, it only affects the infantry and cavalry. You'll notice that any of the fruits on the map will also become guard. Same with the Porochik, same with the Cossacks, same with the Vishniks. I don't know about Grenadiers though, what does with those. I would assume Grenadiers probably as well. Yeah, see that great bombard, folks? Just blasting away at these archers. Way too late, man. You need these Yumi archers up a lot sooner. A lot sooner. And you also need flaming arrows to complement them. Because the one cool thing about the Japanese flaming arrow is it doubles as a culverin. It also has anti-artillery baked into it, so it can also take down falconets and bombards one-on-one too. Anyways, that was a good game. Let's check the post-game out though and see where it is. So yeah, Russia did a really good job at like building their economy up with those blocks of 3 settlers. They did a lot of taking control of the map in the parts that they could, and slowly taking back areas like the desert region using their armies so they could get more and more hunts and mines. Adding in natural resource-based cards like Spice Trade really helped out with that. In terms of military, yeah, I mean, Russia, it's pretty simple. More units, more kills. A lot more kills, actually, so wow, that was really big. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed that cast of game. We're going to do a lot more of those today. I got a lot to catch up with. So expect lots and lots of cast of games. See you in the next one we do. I'm signing off now from this one, folks. See you there.